Alright, continuing with figuring out solving 15b, we were talking about interpreting remainders. We have a remainder of 8, and it clearly says that we are working with how many weeks? 11. But did he finish his hours? No. This means that he's not finished. He needs what? Another week. He needs another week, even if it's just to complete a few hours. So I'm going to go from this 11 plus 1, because this 8 hours tells me to add another one. That tells me that I'm working with 12 weeks. Any questions on interpreting the remainder? No? We're good? Alright, 16a says, Mrs. Pinner was preparing her income taxes. She needed to calculate her total business mileage to get a deduction. So what is she calculating? Total business mileage. Mrs. Pinner drove driving, that's part of mileage, isn't it? Mrs. Pinner drove 7.8 miles, keyword, each day for 5 days of every week. Okay, that right there sounds like get, right? I'm showing you an array of different ways to solve this. So what you're getting, what you got on one was a T-chart, what you got on another was T-chart with division. What you're getting here is we're using the get to set it up. So you're getting a lot of different ways to learn how to work out these problems. You get to use whatever works for you, whatever's best for you. Okay. So 7.8 miles each day, that goes here, right? If this is miles, then what is this? Miles. If this is miles, this is miles, this is what? What did we break up the miles into? Into days, right? So is it telling me how many days, or is it telling me a total number of miles? Really, that's what it's telling me. Because it says, she drove this for 5 days. Every week. Obviously, we're going to talk about multiple weeks, so this is obviously going to be a two-step problem. This is step 1. Okay, finding my total miles. Isn't that what we're looking for? So what am I doing? 7.8 times 5. That's 40. Bring it by 4. 5 times 7 is 35. 35 plus 4 is 39. Bring in my decimal ones. So she drove a total of 39 miles per week. Make sure to throw that in there because you need to know that that is per week. Now let's work on the second part of the question, which says, if she worked a total of 50 weeks that year. Well, here's my next thing. What is the total mileage she could claim on her income tax? Okay, so now we have our total miles per week. So now I'm going to do another get. And I'm going to ask myself, this 39 miles per week, what does the word per mean? Each. So that goes what? 39 miles, right? And this is per week. And do we know a total, or are we looking for a total? We're looking for a total. These 39 miles per week, she drove them in how many what? In 50 weeks. In 50 weeks. So what two numbers am I multiplying? 50 times 39. Well, I'm just going to do 39 times 5 and bring down my... This is how I set this up. Anytime I have a number with a 0 that I'm going to be multiplying, let me go to move this up a little so you can see how my work is being done. I just bring the 5 right here and put the 0 on the outside. And I don't even work with the 0. Okay? You can do that. And then you just do 5 times 9, 45. 3 times 5, 5 times 3, 15 plus 4 is 19, and then bring down the 0 because you're leaving it there. Okay? So, these are my total miles she can claim. And I do want on her taxes. I do want that complete sentence. 1,950 miles that she can claim on her taxes, which is answer choice A. Was that difficult for anybody? B. A school cafeteria manager is calculating the amount of beans that will be cooked for Wednesday's meal. What's going on in this problem? Okay, so I heard how many beans they're going to cook, and then I heard Alina over here reading like the whole sentence again. Somebody summarize real quick. Somebody paraphrase for me. What is it that they want to do? What is it that someone is doing? Okay, so they are calculating the amount of beans that will be cooked. That's it. Okay, here's the deal. You read on. I'm just stuck on the first sentence. When I do this, I focus on sentence per sentence per sentence. I understand that you want to read the whole thing through, but how many of you have figured out, okay, every time she reads it, like she reads a sentence, underlines what's good, starts to work out something. Reads another sentence, underlines what's good, works out a little bit more. Underlines another sentence, finds her final answer. How many of you have seen that I do it in chunks? I chunk up my work so that it makes it easier. Okay, the reason I do that personally is because it's a way of thinking. It's called thinking blocks, where you have a chunk of information, you take it, you solve it, you get a good answer. Now that you have a good answer, you take your next chunk of information, you take it, you solve it, you connect your answers, and you make your connections. Okay, this answer is going to work for this answer because they go together to solve for this. Your thinking isn't done in steps. Okay? If you read the whole problem through, here's what happens in your brain. It becomes mush. Literally. In your brains, you're like, wait, what was I reading? Something about some ounces of beans. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, it's because the manager's going to be cooking them. And you're like, wait, hold on. Let me read it again because now I forgot what I'm doing. How many of you raise your hand and say yes if that has happened to you before with word problems? Yes. Especially with these types of word problems, because guess what STAR has done? STAR has said, let's make the test more rigorous. That doesn't mean let's make it harder. That means let's make it longer, more stressful, more strenuous. Let's make the kids really, really think. Well, newsflash. They think they're doing you, like they think that they're making you smarter by doing that, and you would become smarter if you did what I just taught you. Take everything in chunks. Okay? It's just like at home. Your mom tells you, I need you to clean your room, do the laundry, wash the dishes, and then by the time she's done with her list, what are you stuck on? Okay, I remember she told me I was going to clean my room. And then you clean your room, and you don't want to leave your room because you're like, oh my goodness, if she sees me in the hallway, and she sees that I didn't do the rest because I don't even remember the rest, she's going to get so mad. How many of you have that happen to you? Yes, right? Because your brains are not conditioned enough yet to think through a whole problem right away. So do yourselves a favor. Think in chunks. Okay? Same thing for reading. When you read a passage, goodness, I've seen some of you read through a whole passage and then you go to the questions and you're stuck. Guess why? Because you don't remember none of the first part of the passage. Some of you don't even remember the first or the middle. You barely remember the end. Because these passages are getting longer and longer and longer. Again, rigorous. Rigor. Can you hold up? Can you handle it? That's all they want to know. How much can you handle? Because they want to know, do you know the academic part of this? Do you know how to solve things? Do you know how to answer questions? Honestly, that's the easy part. I can tell you, all of you in here, if it was a 10-question test, you would probably pass. Everybody would commend it. Because there's not a lot of rigor there. Yes, the questions might be difficult, but there's only 10. They count for more points, but there's only 10. But what they've done is they said, okay, no, we're going to throw in 56 questions. And then we're going to cut down their time to 4 hours. We might even cut down their time to 2 hours this year. Okay? Now, that was something they were thinking about, again, because they think, add more rigor, add more rigor. Again, rigor is not, in their eyes, rigor is, let's make it harder. When rigor should be, let's challenge the kids to see what level they can step up to. That is what I'm telling you to do. If you work out things in chunks, you become more successful. You're more likely to get the question right. It's a whole lot easier to understand. Instead of spending 10 to 12 minutes on a problem because you don't even understand what you read, you're spending about 5 to 7 minutes on a problem because you worked on it in chunks. Which do you prefer? 10 to 12 minutes on a problem that you still don't really understand? Or the 5 to 7 minutes where you worked on it in chunks? I would go with the 5 to 7. Okay? So let's make sure that just like we did in 16A, we're working on 16B now and we're taking it in chunks. Okay? A school cafeteria manager is calculating is just a fancy word for using math, the amount of beans that will be cooked for Wednesday's meal. Obviously we're working for a one-day meal, right? Because Wednesday is just one day. That I understand already. Each student will receive a serving size of 4.5 ounces of beans. So, each student will receive a serving size of 4.5 ounces of beans. Okay, keyword there, each, right? Yes. So, in other words, every student, right? Each, it means the same thing as every student. A bag of beans contains 8 servings. So now we have the beans in a bag. And the bag has 8 servings. Okay? That means, if I drew a picture, this is my bag of beans. I'm just going to put B-O-B. Okay? And it's got 8 servings. That means out of one bag, I can serve how many students? 18. How many of you see that this looks like an input-output already? For every 1, 8. So for every 2, 16. For every 3, 24. What is a simple way to set this up? Input-output tables. Okay? If she cooks 20 bags, well in one bag it's 8. So I'm going to go from one bag to 20 bags. What is it that I know from my question? I know that one bag is equal to 8 servings. What is it that my question is asking me now?
20 bags.
20 bags. So this, and I put a little light bulb usually because the light bulb tells me that's what I know. And where do I know that from? The STAR question. What is the STAR question? This one up here. One bag equals 8 servings. Right? For every one bag, we got 8 kids eating. What number is really not as important here?
4.5.
Thank you. Why?
Because you don't need it for that. It's not asking.
Because we're not asking the total number. We're not asking how many ounces. We're asking how many servings. How many students
Can get.
would that serve?
20 bags.
For 20 bags. So one bag gives me 8 servings because it says that. Each student will receive a serving size of 4.5 ounces. A bag of beans contains 8 servings. All of this, not the a bag. You hear? This was just to throw you completely off. Okay? Trying to confuse you. Again, this is that rigor part. Can you read and determine whether you have information that's extra? And if you can, then you're thinking. But again, if you were to read through the whole question quickly, how many of you might have not caught that? Probably so, right? But because we chunked it up, we know we're working with a bag of 8 servings. The question is asking me about the bags and the servings. Okay? So now, from 1 to 20, what are we doing? Times 20. So from the 8, what are we doing? Times 20. Well, 8 times 2 is?
16.
Bring down my trailing 0. How many students will 20 bags feed? 160. How many of you are looking at some of these bigger numbers and thinking, why are those numbers so big there? Right? How many of you think, I bet you anything, if I were to multiply the 4.5 in there, you would get one of these answers. Again, that is not rigor. That is, let's see if they're thinking and let's throw in the answers for some other math in case they decide to use the numbers that are not needed. The rigor part is, what is it that you're reading? What is it that you understand? Okay? These other numbers, how is it that we can try and get them off of their game? If you go into the test and you're thinking, this is it, I'm going to do it, I've got this. Then you start taking the test and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so confused, I don't understand this question. What happens to your game? Your game is all out of whack, right? You don't get it. And then what happens to your thinking? Oh my God, I'm not going to pass. This is so hard. What? Then your mind is thinking, this is so hard all the way through the rest of the test, when it's really not. It's easy. Chunk it up. Okay? That simple. Just chunk it up.